again by FEM, finite element method. So here the abstract, we can see that, so here the present work, what we have focused is, we have focused on the design of the combustor liner with different configurations for a gas turbine engine that is used for land-based power generation. And we have analyzed the distribution of temperature at different zones of the combustor liner, primary, secondary, and dilution zones. And of course, we have studied the heat load variation at different zones of liner. So why we have studied about this temperature distribution and the heat load at different zones of liner means because here we are going to select a better configuration, so that what happens is the heat load at different zones of the liner will be very minimum, and the distribution of temperature will be nominal one. So that if the heat load is very minimum at these different zones, what happens is the fatigue and the creep of the material can decrease, and therefore the life of the materials which is used for the fabrication of these components may also increase, of course. So that's why we are concentrating on these two things. One is distribution of temperature, other one is heat load at different zones of liner. So here you can see the picture of a combustor here. So in the combustor, we have this fuel nozzle, and we had a diffuser here. And as I told, it has three zones. One is primary zone, intermediate, that is called secondary zone, and dilution zone. So what is the use of all these zones is, so we know that combustor is like, it's a main part of the gas turbine engine where the combustion of fuel and air takes place. So here what happens is the primary zone, that is the initial stage of combustion, where the fuel and air gets mixed for combustion purpose. Then the combustion starts, that is the flame gets ignited, and the flame starts to travel through along the combustion length. And in intermediate zone, in secondary zones, we'll be having a different holes of diameters. So the air which is coming inside this secondary holes may sustain the flame, that is, it is used for the flame stabilization part. And in dilution zone, we again will be having some holes of different dia, then the secondary and the primary hole dias. And this dilution is used for cooling the flame. Why? Because the flame which is coming outside of the combustor, it may have the temperature may be around, say, 960 to 1000 degrees Celsius. So definitely these flame will be it will be impinging on the blades of the turbine, gas turbine. So in that case, we need to cool that one, because we need to increase the lifespan of the turbine blade materials. So definitely it should be cooled down. So we are using this dilution air holes. So the role of temperature on liner design, why we need more concentration of the temperature, because that's what I told you, that the temperature of the flue gases which is coming from the combustor due to the combustion of air and fuel, it may affect the turbine blade materials. So definitely this temperature should be known. That is, the thermal profiling of these components is very much necessary. If the thermal profiling of the components is not done, we can't able to select the material for the fabrication of the liner. So whenever we select some stainless steel, or maybe aluminum alloy, or maybe some copper for this design of for the fabrication of combustor liner, suppose if we are not doing the thermal profiling, then definitely what happens is the metal can be degraded, and it may the creep and the thermal stress may increase in those materials, and the materials can deteriorate. Okay, so in order to reduce all these things, we need to concentrate more on thermal profiling of the hot components. So that's why, so before going for thermal profiling, we should look after the temperature distribution on the liner. And this is the literature surveys we have made. In this, there are four authors I have included. So all these four authors, they have very much concentrated on the temperature distribution and the heat flux analysis of the gas turbine components in order to get a very good material suitable for the fabrication purpose. So this is a design of combustor liner. So we have done the calculations, and we have got the dimensions of the liner here. So we have the primary hole diameter, secondary hole diameter, tertiary hole, and we have also decided how many number of primary holes should be there in per row, and number of secondary holes per row, and number of tertiary holes per row. So we have made three configurations in that. So you can see that the diameter and the length of the liner are same for all the three configurations. Only thing is the diameter of the primary, secondary, and tertiary holes has been changed, and as well as the number of holes has been changed. So why this things has been changed means because to select a better configuration where we can have a very low thermal stress or low heat load on the combustor liner. So these are the configurations. As I told you, this is the primary holes, this is the secondary, and this is the tertiary holes. So this primary holes are very much helpful in flame propagation, whereas this secondary holes are used for a flame stabilization method, stabilization part, and this tertiary holes are used for cooling of flame. And you can see the meshing here. So material, so here we are using the pneumonic alloy as a material. Why? Because we have selected the pneumonic alloy because the reason has been given here. So it is having a high thermal conductivity, and moreover it can withstand, because at the present gas turbine at present in gas turbine industries, they are using pneumonic alloy as a material for fabrication part. So we have selected pneumonic alloy as a material. We have assigned for our thermal analysis, and the properties have been given for pneumonic alloy. And the input variables, if you see that the maximum temperature at the beginning of the combustor, it will be around say 2200 degrees Celsius, because we are going to in combustor we are going to use methane or propane. So sometimes the butane is also used. So whenever we go for the combustion reaction of this butane with air, definitely the flame which is produced, it will be having a very high temperature, approximately up to 1700 to 2200 degrees Celsius. So we have taken the maximum temperature as 2200 degrees Celsius for flame, and the minimum temperature as 1200 degrees Celsius. And the ambient temperature, because the the combustor liner, on the surface of the combustor liner, definitely the air will be flowing up, because the air should travel to primary, secondary, and tertiary holes. So that air temperature I was considering as 50 degrees Celsius. Why? Because this air will comes from a compressor actually, and the heat transfer coefficient of air is considered as 30 watt per meter square Kelvin. So these are the FEM results we have got. So these are the, so you can see the temperature is varied very much at different zones because of the airflow through different holes of different dias. So here also the heat flux is also changed. So you can see that at a primary zone, the heat flux was around say 1.6 into the power of 6 watt per meter square, whereas in secondary it is 2.33 into the power of 5, and at last at dilution it is around say 2.5 into 10 power 5. So you can see that it is decreasing approximately up to dilution holes. And same way temperature at primary zone, as I told you, that is used for flame simulation purpose. The temperature was around say 2146 degrees Celsius, whereas at the dilution zone it was around say 832 degrees Celsius. So why? Because in dilution holes, as the diameter is very high, definitely the air which is traveling inside this dilution holes may uh, reduce the temperature of the flame. That's why the temperature of the flame has been reduced, and thereby the temperature on the surface of the liner is also reduced. So again, we go for the second configuration FEM results. So here you can see that the temperature at the primary zone, it was 1920 degrees Celsius, and this is around say 925 degrees Celsius. And same way here, the heat flux was 1.76 in terms of 6, and at dilution zone it was around say 2.1 in terms of 5. So there is a drastic change in the temperature distribution on the liner surface and the heat flux distribution. And when I come to the configuration 3, you can see that at the primary it was 2000 degrees Celsius, and it was 1354 degrees Celsius at dilution, and the heat flux was 1.8 in per 5, and here it is sorry, it is 4005 sorry, it is 45,076 watt per meter square. So this is the heat flux values. So coming to this graph, so we have all these sections of the combustor liner. So we had an inlet section, primary zone, secondary zone, dilution zone, and the exit we have. So we can see a drastic temperature has been changed at different zones of the or different sections of the combustor liner. Why this different that is this temperature is changing? Because of the as I told you, the diameters of the primary holes, secondary holes, and dilution holes changes, and as well as the uses of this primary, secondary, and dilution holes, because of various functions of these and we are getting a very drastic change in the temperature. So I have plotted a temperature gradient, that is change of temperature with the each section of the combustor liner here. So we can see that at the configuration 1, the temperature was around, say, it is varying from 1800 at primary to 1160 at exit. Why I didn't try the inlet is because at inlet we know that the maximum temperature which we are given, the inlet flame temperature, was 2200 degrees Celsius. So that will be same for all the configurations. So but when the flame travels the different sections of the combustor liner, definitely the temperature changes. So that's what we got from the FEM answers part. So here also you can see that at 2200 the flame was traveling, but at configuration 2 at the exit it was 1280, and at configuration 3 it is 1350 degrees Celsius. And coming to the heat load, the configuration 1, 2, and 3, we can see that the configuration 1, we are having a less heat load compared to other two configurations. So here the heat load of configuration 1 was around, say, 3152 kilowatt, whereas for configuration 2 and 3 it was very high. In configuration 2 it was 4000 kilowatt, and in configuration 3 it was 3800 kilowatt. So what we have come to a conclusion that as the heat load at the configuration 1 was very minimum, so as the heat load is minimum, then definitely the thermal stress induced on that configuration 1 will also be less. And because of this impact of low thermal load, what is the thing is the life of the combustor can be increased, and the selected configuration can be used for a high term, or it can be used for a burning of fuel for a high definite time, and to so that we can achieve the higher efficiency. So configuration 1 means this is the dimensions of configuration 1. We have selected this configuration as the best one because the heat load was very minimum, and the temperature distribution is also very nominal. At a nominal rate, temperature has been changed at configuration 1. So the primary hole diameter was 3 mm, secondary hole diameter was 6 mm, and the tertiary hole was 10 mm. And the number of primary holes was 25 per row, number of secondary holes was 17, and number of tertiary holes per row was 11. So we have selected as configuration 1 as a better model from this study. So this is all about this paper. These are my references.
Okay, so thank you for again the nice presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Now, how would you select this diameter and the number of holes? Do you apply any logic in it?
Yes, of course. We have some certain formulas. We need to assume some of the properties of air and fuel. We have done some experimental part also. Actually, it's a part of our doctorate work. So we have got that experimental results. From that experimental results, we have substituted that values in. We have a detailed framework or detailed design methodology we have for design of combustor. So we have applied on that, and we have got all these values, and we have put these values, and we have designed the liners, and we have done the FEM analysis to select a best configuration. So we have a detailed framework for that. Design framework is there.
That means you have also the experimental results in support of this FEA.
Yes, sir. We have means we are doing this experimental results with some other we are doing with the thermocouples and thermal paint actually. So we are getting the values of temperature also in there. So we are
Oh,
comparing.
oh. Thank you
Okay.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupesh. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Jyoti for his presentation. Mr. Jyoti, please go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon to all. So hear me, sir?
Please go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon to all. I am Jyoti, research scholar, Department of Mathematics, Wales University. I am
Excuse
also
me,
working
madam.
in
Excuse me.
assistant professor.
Excuse me, madam. Kindly share your PPT and then talk.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah, yes.
Good afternoon. Okay. Good afternoon to all. I am Jyoti, research scholar, Department of Mathematics, Wales University. I am also working in assistant professor in Bhaktashila Memorial College for Women under the guidance of Dr. A. Selvaraj sir, Department of Mathematics, Wales University. My paper title is Heat Source Impact on MHD and Radiation Absorption Fluid Flow Past an Exponentially Accelerator Vertical Plate with Exponentially Variable Temperature and Mass Diffusion through a porous medium. This paper abstract is, in this study, the MHD and radiation absorption of the fluid flow past an exponentially accelerated vertical plate through mass diffusion with varying temperature and heat source via porous medium. Dimensionless condition with limitation and starting condition is worked out mathematically. The plate temperature is extended in straight line along the time t, also concentration closer near the plate. The dimensional governing equation is current examination are solved using Laplace transform techniques. The velocity outlines are graphically explained to various physical limits, thermal Grashof value, mass Grashof value, Schmidt value, and also time. It has been found that the velocity rise through the increase of thermal Grashof number gr and also the expansion time t of the plate, but the velocity grows through increase the permeability of the porous medium, while the presence of magnetic parameters decreases. The impact of parameter m, k, t, s, c, a, and thermal Grashof number gr on the velocity profile are shown graphically. I am using governing equation dou u dash divided by dou t dash equal to g beta d dash minus d infinity d dash plus g beta star c dash minus c infinity dash plus v dou square u dash divided by dou y dash square minus sigma b naught square divided by rho u dash minus v u dash divided by k, and rho cp dou d dash divided by dou t dash equal to k into dou square d dash divided by dou y dash square and dou c dash divided by dou d dash equal to d into dou square c dash divided by dou y dash square. And initial and boundary conditions are u dash equal to 0, d dash equal to t infinity dash, c dash equal to c infinity dash, u dash equal to u naught e power a dash t dash equal to t infinity dash plus tw dash minus t infinity dash a t dash, c dash equal to cw dash, t dash tends to t infinity dash, c dash tends to c infinity dash as y dash tends to infinity. I am taking non-dimensional equation, velocity u and time t, temperature theta, thermal Grashof number gr, concentration c, and mass Grashof number gc, magnetic parameter m, Prandtl number pr, Schmidt number sc, acceleration a, permeability parameter k. Non-dimensional equations are dou q divided by dou t equal to gr theta plus gcc plus dou square q by dou z square minus mq minus q by k. Dou theta divided by dou t equal to 1 by pr dou square theta divided by dou z square. Dou z divided by dou t equal to 1 by sc dou square c by dou z square. And initial and boundary conditions are velocity q equal to 0, temperature theta equal to 0, concentration c equal to 0. Velocity theta and concentration taking equal to e power at and z equal to 0. Q theta c tends to 0 as z tends to infinity. I got a solution for temperature theta e power at divided by 2 e power minus root of pra into z erf of c neta root pr minus root at plus e power root of pra z erf of c neta root pr plus root at. Similarly, concentration c equal to I got velocity q equal to this one. My result and discussion is, unless the effect of heat source, the plate accelerated in its own plate, the velocity u equal to u naught e power a dash d dash. Numerical calculation are made for distinct ideals for thermal Grashof number gr, mass Grashof number gc, Schmidt value sc, magnetic parameter m, permeability parameter K, acceleration parameter A. After the Prandtl number PR, like 0.71 corresponding to the R, this discloses the distinct outcomes limit in the dimensional velocity outline, temperature outline, and concentration outline. I am showing few graphs for velocity profile. First one is velocity profile for different magnetic parameter M, 0.6, 0.8 and 1.0. Second diagram is velocity profile for different time, t equal to 0.5, 0.7, 0.9. Third one is velocity profile for different k equal to 2, k equal to 3, k equal to 5. K is the permeability parameter. Next, velocity profile for different values of Schmidt number SC, 0.30, 0.22, 0.50, and velocity profile for different acceleration A equal to 0.6 and A equal to 0.8, A equal to 1.0. Velocity profile for different Grashof number, GR equal to 10, GR equal to 5, GR equal to 15. Concentration profile for different values of acceleration A equal to 1, A equal to 2, A equal to 3. Temperature profile for different parameters, acceleration A equal to 1, A equal to 2, A equal to 3. I am using MATLAB software. I got this diagram. My conclusion is, in this study, we investigate heat source impact of MHD and radiation absorption fluid flow fast and exponentially accelerated vertical with porous medium. Clarification to the ideal component with via Laplace transform method. The result of examinations are: first one, the velocity profile increase with an decrease in magnetic parameter M. The velocity grows through an expansion in the time t of the plate. The velocity is strain rise through the expansion in permeability parameter K of the plate. The velocity grows through an increase in Schmidt number SC. The velocity is exacerbated to rise through an increase in the acceleration of the plate. The velocity grows and increasing in thermal Grashof value GR of the plate. The velocity increases with increase in permeability of the porous medium while decrease in the presence of magnetic parameter. I am using reference for the following authors. Thank you all.
Thank you, madam, for the presentation. Now, you have used some governing equation.
Yes, sir.
In the initial, there is a dimensional and non-dimensional.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you please go to that dimensional equation?
Dou U dash divided by dou T dash.
Yes. So here, now your problem is on the exponentially accelerated vertical thing in the porous medium.
Yes, sir.
When you say porous, what is the factor here representing the porous structure?
Porous are solid materials, sir, that are composed of four structures, sir, which
Okay,
are
so-
tightly fluid.
Yeah,
fluid
now I have two material. One is without porous and with the porous. How this governing equation can be modified for without porous, and this is for with the porous. If I say without porous,
I'm using minus Q by K, sir. Q is the velocity, K is the permeability parameter, sir.
Okay.
Increasing velocity for decreasing parameter K, sir. Permeability parameter K, sir.
Oh, that permeability parameter will take account of this porosity or non-porosity. Oh, that is the parameter that is
Q by K, sir.
in account of your porosity or not porosity. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Numerator is the velocity with ratio of permeability
Okay, so
parameter
one
K,
more
sir.
suggestion: when you are presenting the boundary condition,
Okay, sir.
it is better to pictorially representing
Yes, sir.
something and then mentioning the boundary condition on the picture. That would give, I think, a good impression. Instead of writing a mathematical, along with the mathematical expressions, you can also put a pictorial boundary conditions. That would be.
Sir, I input all values in MATLAB software, sir. I got a diagram only, sir.
Okay, okay.
Next time I show the diagram, sir, in boundary conditions
Thank
also,
you,
sir.
thank you. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Jyoti. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Raghavendra to present his paper.
Hello, sir, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir,
Yes.
go ahead.
One second, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Raghavendra. I'm a research scholar at Gulbarga University, Kalaburgi, Karnataka. I'm doing my PhD under the guidance of Professor T. Sankarappa. Today, I'm going to present my paper in front of you. Title of my work is Dielectric Properties and AC Conductivity of Polyindole and Polyindole CO3O4 Composite. So this is the abstract of my work. There are many conducting polymers are there in nature, like polyaniline, polypyrrole, polycarbazole. Likewise, polyindole is one among the conducting polymers. I have chosen the conducting polyindole because it exhibits good thermal property and a good conductivity, and which is highly stable. And when we dope the polyindole with the metal oxide, it will have very good applications like photovoltaic devices, batteries, supercapacitors, sensors, and light emitting diodes, etc. So that is why I have chosen polyindole as my interest. Okay. So in this work, my aim is to study the dielectric properties and AC conductivity as a function of frequency. I have synthesized the polyindole by chemical oxidation method, and I have synthesized the polyindole CO3O4 composite by in situ chemical oxidation method by the variation of frequency, by the variation of CO3O4 composite, like a 10 weight percentage, 20 weight percentage, 30 weight percentage, like that. After the synthesis, I took it for the characterization, XRD characterization. I make use of this Rigaku Miniflex 600 benchtop apparatus to get the XRD pattern. So these are the XRD patterns of polyindole and polyindole CO3O4 composite. The first figure corresponds to the pure polyindole, and the second figure corresponds to the polyindole CO3O4 composite. You can observe here a broad peak at 21.21 degree. That represents the amorphous nature of polyindole. So therefore, the obtained product is amorphous in nature. Next, I am moving on to the dielectric properties. These two figures shows the dielectric properties of the polyindole and the polyindole CO3O4 composite. First figure corresponds to the pure polyindole, and the second figure corresponds to polyindole CO3O4 composite.
Excuse me. Now your PPT is something showing very. It's not steady. It is going and then coming. Some sort of disturbance is there with the PPT. Now it is okay. Now it is.
It is just like it was flickering in between. Maybe it's okay. Yeah.
Can I start from this beginning, or?
Yeah, it's now okay. It's okay.
Is it okay, sir?
Yes.
So now I'm going to discuss about the dielectric properties. Okay, the first figure corresponds to the pure polyindole, and the second figure corresponds to the polyindole CO3O4 composite. Okay, the figure, it represents the variation of dielectric constant with respect to the frequency of the applied field, and the inset of the figure represents the variation of the dielectric loss with respect to the frequency of the applied field. And we have studied these variations with respect to frequency for different temperatures. We have studied here. You can observe here, as the frequency of the applied field goes on increases, the dielectric constant and the dielectric loss both are decreasing as the frequency is increases and as the temperature also increases there. See, this is completely due to because of the decrease of ionic component to the polarization and also the weakening of the ionic bond as the temperature is increases. So that is why both the dielectric constant and the dielectric loss are decreasing with the increasing of frequency. Next, so these graphs shows the variation of dielectric constant and dielectric loss with the increase of CO3O4 composite in polymer matrix. You can observe here, as the concentration of CO3O4 is increases, the dielectric constant is goes on decreases for different frequencies. In the same manner, we can observe the dielectric loss is also goes on decreases as the weight percentage of CO3O4 concentration is increases in the polymer matrix. This is due to because this decrease it is due to because of the dipoles will lose freedom of orientation with respect to the field with the increase of CO3O4 concentration in polymer matrix. Next, I will move on to the AC conductivity. See, here we have studied the AC conductivity of polymer matrix with the increase of frequency for different temperature we have studied here. You can observe here, as the temperature is goes on increases, the conductivity is goes on increases for as increase in temperature. So this indicates the polymer, polyindole and polyindole CO3O4 composite, it behaves like a semiconductor. Next, so this is the plot of kind of a variation of conductivity with respect to the weight percentage of CO3O4 composite. You see here, the conductivity is goes on decreases as the weight percentage of CO3O4 concentration is increases for different frequencies here. See, this decrease, it is due to because of there is a cluster formation of nanoparticles takes place inside the polymer matrix, and this will creates the barrier to the hopping of charges in between the chains, and that leads to the poor conductivity. Next, and we have fit the linear lines to the obtained data, and from this we have got the slope, and by making use of the slope we have calculated the activation energy. See, these are the slopes. From these slope we have got that activation energy. The first figure, it corresponds to pure polyindole, and the second figure, it corresponds to the polyindole CO3O4 composite. And this is the graph of activation energy versus weight percentage of CO3O4 concentration. See, here also the activation energy goes on decreases with the increase of CO3O4 concentration in polymer matrix. See, this decrease, it is due to because of the scattering of the polar arms by the addition of CO3O4 to the polyindole matrix. And I can conclude that the obtained material, it is in amorphous in nature, and both the dielectric constant and dielectric loss are decreased with increase of frequency and increase of temperature, and also the AC conductivity variation indicates that it is a semiconducting in nature, and by fitting the conductivity changes the temperature to the Arrhenius expression, and activation energy for conduction has been determined. So that's all about my works.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
In your XRD, I think there are a lot of curious signals are there. It is not properly filtered, the XRD, and especially the second XRD.
Yes, sir.
What is the interference that you are getting from this XRD, the second one? Because I don't recognize any proper peaks. It's all kind of
there is some kind of
signals.
noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So where exactly the peaks are? Can you be able to identify from this image?
Not exactly the sharp peak, sir. We are getting one broad peak at 20.21 degrees, sir, and that indicates the amorphous nature of polyindole and the CO3O4 composites.
Okay. So what is the difference between this the first one and then second one? The first one is for pure polymer.
Sir. First one corresponds to the pure polyindole, and second one corresponds to the polyindole CO3O4 composite, which consists of 10 weight percentage of CO3O4s.
Okay, so here
sir.
What is the peak corresponds to the CO3O4, and what is the peak corresponds to the Pauling node? The second
Actually,
XRD.
Actually, there is a kind of a noise is there, sir. But as the composition is goes on increases, this peak is goes on reduces, sir. Actually, so that is the thing.
That means the how did you perform this XRD?
Sir,
How did you perform this XRD?
sir, by making use of this instrument, sir, Rigaku Miniflex 600 benchtop.
No,
X-rays
what is the sample preparation, and what is the, whether it is dissolved in the solution, or it is something in the powder form you have made it, or in the solid form you have made it?
Sir, we have made it in a powder form, sir, and then it is dissolved in acetonitrile, sir, and then it is subjected to the XRD, sir.
Okay, so I am not sure about this XRD for the peaks. You have to once again properly validate it. And one more thing, the activation energy that you have calculated, and how did you calculate this activation energy? What is the formula you have used for calculation?
Formula. Sir, by making use of that slopes, we have calculated that activation energy, sir.
No. So directly you cannot calculate from the slope.
Yes,
there is some formula you have to use. Activation.
Formula is there, sir. Actually, I did not mention in this PPT, sir. That formula.
Okay. So you just refer that. And what is the conclusions that you are deriving with respect to this activation energy in terms of your conductivity, semiconductivity?
Sir.
How this activation energy and the conductivity is related?
Sir, those are inversely proportional, sir. As the activation energy goes on decreases, the conductivity is increases, sir.
Okay, so what is the physical meaning of the activation energy?
The amount of energy required to transfer the electron from low energy to higher energies.
Okay. So very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Raghavendra. Now I invite Jose Loylet to present his.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, Raghavendra, sir.
Sir.
Raghavendra, sir, can you please stop your presentation? Can you please withdraw your presentation?
Okay, sir. Sir.
Yes, sir. My screen is displaying, sir.
Yeah, Joseph, please go ahead.
My topic is MHT parabolic flow path and accelerated isothermal vertical plate with heat and mass diffusion in the presence of rotation. Under the supervision of Dr. A. Selvaraj, Associate Professor, Department of Mathematics, Wales University, Vistas. This is my objective, sir. First, literature survey followed by introduction, and we have a mathematical formulation, coupled equation solution procedure, results and interpretation. Finally, we have a conclusion and application and reference. Literature surveys, sir. Convective heat transfer, the first modeled in the year 1979 by the Professor V.M. Soundalgar, IIT Mumbai. The paper was entitled as Effect of Mass Transfer and Free Convection on the Flow Path and Impulsively Vertical Plate. Actually, the first version of research work reported theoretically for the convective heat transfer. That is this model. The research work include 4 non-dimensional numbers. Namely, we have a Prandtl number, Schemith number, and mass Grashof number and thermal Grashof number. And then the dimensionless governing equation are solved with the support of a Laplace transform technique, and the solutions are obtained by using inverse Laplace transform. The solutions are obtained in terms of a complementary and complementary error function and exponential functions, which is difficult to devise manually. We have a physical understanding, the numerical work carried out, some restriction, and processed in a software kind of like a MATLAB. And we have idea, there is many researchers have published the same methodology, but the Ovesam approach by the author Dr. R. Muthukumaraswamy and Dr. P. Ganesan have a massive interest in doing in publishing a paper. There is a theoretical solution, and they started continuation work of Soundolgar in the 1998. Further, Dr. R. Muthukumaraswamy have a notable idea to develop the concept into larger and larger, and he proved that is solutions for a different boundary conditions, and the present model can give 4 theoretical answers. And he published so far 300 global journals, which include a significant study in the effect of mass and free convective currents on a fluid on a vertical plate. And some of them are rotational effects, and these models include in the presence of magnetohydrodynamics, that is MHD, and without MHD, and MHD with chemical and MHD without chemical. There are a lot of models. All these combinations of the research work have been exhausted, and now my model is nothing but a parabolic flow path in the presence of rotation, and also in the presence of MHD. And this is my mathematical formulation. The first 2 equation, that is my reduced mathematical partial differential equation. First 2 equation talks about a velocity profile, and third equation is nothing but a temperature, and fourth equation is nothing but a concentration equation. On suggesting dimensionless quantities, here we have 3 main non-dimensional quantity, that is a Prandtl number. A Prandtl number is nothing but it is a ratio of a momentum diffusivity to a thermal diffusivity, and Prandtl number is a measure of a relative value of heat transfer, and heat transfer in the velocity thermal boundary layer. Next, I have used here Prandtl number, Schmidt number. Schmidt number is nothing but it is a ratio of momentum diffusivity to the mass diffusivity, and it's a main application. Schmidt number talks about diffusion coefficient, and we have a Grashof number, that is mass Grashof number and thermal Grashof number. Grashof number is nothing but it is a ratio of buoyancy forces to the viscous force, and the main application, it is used to check the fluid behavior, and also it shows how dominant is a buoyancy force, which is responsible for the convection when it is compared to the viscous force. And here I have considered also magnetic field parameter, that is M. And the first 2 equation is very difficult to solve, and by introducing a complex velocity Q is equal to U plus IV, and the first 2 equation have been reduced into single equation, that is equation 5, dou Q by dou T is equal to GR theta plus GCC plus dou square Q divided by dou Z square minus MQ. And this is my boundary condition, that is Q is equal to T square, parabolic flow path. At setting T, theta is equal to 1 and C is equal to 1. A small m is equal to the complex quantity capital M plus 2 I omega. And equation 7 represents a temperature profile, that is error from complementary error function of neta into square root of PR. And equation 8 represents a concentration equation. C is equal to a complementary error function neta times square root of SC. And here where A is equal to M ratio of M divided by PR minus 1, and B is equal to M divided by SC minus 1. And similarity parameter neta is equal to Z divided by 2 root T. And this is my coupled equation, final equation. Q is nothing but a velocity equation for a problem. My results and interpretation. Figure 1 shows the temperature profile for various values of PR, that is Prandtl number. Setting PR is equal to 7.0 and PR is equal to 0.7. Processed in the software, the 2D image shows here, it is observed that temperature increases with the decreasing values of PR, which means the heat transfer will be more in air than in water. Then temperature profile, the concentration profile for various values of SC. Figure 2 shows setting SC is equal to 0.16 and SC is equal to 0.3. and SE is equal to 0.6. And it is observed the pattern shows the concentration increases with decreasing values of SE. And similarly, we have figure 3, the dominant, the primary velocity profile for various values of GR/GC. Setting GR is equal to 2, GC is equal to 2, and GR is equal to, that is a 225, 2255, and T is equal to 0.4. The pattern reveals that the velocity increases with the increasing values of GR/GC. That is this one, velocity for GR/GC, the 2, and this is for 2.5, and this is for 5.5. Therefore, the velocity tends to increases when the expanding estimation of a same Grashof number, that is a 2.5 and 2.55. And figure 4 shows the dominant, that is a primary velocity profile for various values of magnetic field parameter. Setting magnetic field parameter as 1, 5, and 10. And GR/GC is equal to 5. It is observed that magnetic field increases, which leads to fall in velocity. Magnetic field increases, which leads to fall in velocity. That is when m is equal to 1, the profile shows like this. When m is equal to 5, the velocity decreases from here to here. Therefore, similarly, we have a secondary velocity profile for GR/GC. And this is also the pattern shows here. The magnetic field parameter has been set to m is equal to 5, and omega rotation parameter omega is equal to 0.5, and PR is equal to 7. The pattern reveals that the quickness increases with expanding estimation of GR/GC, that is the same as the primary velocity profile. And we have finally a secondary velocity profile for rotational parameter. Setting rotational parameter as 0.5, and 1, and 1.5. And the pattern shows that the velocity increases with the decreasing values of omega. And finally, I have concluded that the combination I have tried here, the parabolic flow past in the presence of rotation, and also in the presence of magnetoid MHD, and in isothermal vertical plate, in the presence of MHD is considered, and the dimensionless administering equation have been solved with the support of Laplace transform, and the similarity criterion, that is non-dimensional numbers, I have used here GR, Grashof number, mass Grashof number, and thermal Grashof number, rotation parameter, and magnetic field parameter, and T are inspected graphically, and the conclusion part is enlisted below. It shows that the temperature increases with a decrease in the Prandtl number, and we have in the concentration profile increases with the decreasing evaluation of a schemic range, and it is more evident that primary velocity profile increases with a growing estimation of a mass Grashof number or thermal Grashof range, and it is far clear that a rate increases with a decrement estimation examination of a power field limit, that is a magnetic field parameter. And it is also visible that secondary velocity profile, that is axial velocity profile, increases with a decrement in the rotational parameter. The occurrence is essentially traded with acknowledged with rotational boundary or a power field parameter, power field boundary M. These are my related works.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
In your work, basically in the governing equation, you have used the parabolic flow as well as the rotation is also present.
Yes, sir. Yes.
In the governing equation, which portion describes the parabolic flow and which portion is describing the rotation?
No, actually, first two equation describes about velocity. That actually the mu and mv represents in the presence of MHT, and 2 omega v and 2 omega u represents the rotation.
Okay.
And my boundary condition here, I have used q is equal to t square. T square is parabolic, sir.
Okay, so here, what is the physical model that you have converted into a mathematical model? You might have something. You might have some example for your problem.
Actually, here I have done for Prandtl number for R 0.1 7-1, and water vapor, sir.
No. I am asking where exactly this situation is there in the engineering system or any scientific system where this mathematical model can be applied.
In the field of power generation,
Yeah. I'm asking some example
some
in
exam.
which what is the rotation? You talk about the rotation in terms of a degree or in terms of some other value.
Values are actually
Actually,
either
this rotation is something like a turbulent kind of a rotation.
yes, sir, yes, turbulent kind of rotation only.
Okay. Uh, if it is turbulent kind of a rotation, do you have any other parameter to include in the mathematical model to
No, sir. Actually, I
include
didn't
the
use any other parameters other than this, sir. Actually, I have considered only uh, Grashof numbers and the schemic number and the Prandtl number for a natural convection
okay,
analytical approach.
okay. Now, because the severity of the rotation, how this model will take it. Now, there is something called the severity of the turbulent can be a low velocity turbulent, high velocity turbulent.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Uh, how this model will accommodate that variations, or what is the specific condition with which your model is valid?
Actually, my model is valid for a boundary condition that is a t is equal to t square. That is sorry. Just a minute. That is q is equal to t square, and setting theta is equal to 1 and c is equal to 1.
Okay, so what do you mean by theta is equal to 1?
Theta is equal to 1 temperature, constant temperature, sir, actually.
Okay. Okay, supposing if the temperature is variable, then what would be the theta?
There will be, suppose a theta is equal to t, it may t, 1 or t.
Okay, so it is something like a binary situation.
Yes, sir, actually, sir. With this boundary condition, this is the first setup, sir. Actually, we have a same similar model that is setting q is equal to t square and theta is equal to t, that is variable temperature and constant velocity. C is equal to 1. Similarly,
So,
we have another model. There is a change in temperature and concentration also. Both are set into T.
okay. So when theta is equal to t, the t can be any numerical value.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Fine. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jose.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Professor Balasivananda Prabhu, for being here and
Thank you very much.
assessing our papers, assessing our presenters. Before we conclude the session, may I have all of us to switch on our cameras to have a photo captured of the session, sir? Is it possible for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Raghavendra, Mr. Rupesh, can I have all of you switching on your cameras? Of course, I'll be doing mine as well.
My camera is visible, sir.
Not
Okay.
Yes, sir. Now you are on, sir. Mr. Rupesh, are you still available? Mr. Rupesh, Mr. Raghavendra, and Ms. Jyoti. Okay, looks like people have left in. Just a while, sir. Just as those joins.
The camera is on, sir.
Not yet, ma'am. Not at yours. Can you please tilt your camera upwards a bit? Can you please tilt the laptop screen a little bit upwards?
Okay, sir.
Video is not available yet.